Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Thursday, December 22nd, 2022, after 3 p.m. Eastern. We're having a time for change, our reverse aging health call tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We will be having the owner Jim Barnett of New Extracts, on one of our Friday calls. And as soon as I confirm it, we're going to talk a lot in depth about the new trilogy of New Extracts. It's almost mandatory for people to engage with. I do not know whether I was then a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or whether I am now a butterfly dreaming I am a man. Chang Tzu. All of us are enlightened beings in disguise. That's a fact. Every being is born with full access to the highest peak of consciousness. When you look into a baby's eyes, you will see it. I think we all have. The sparkle of their pure, uncluttered, untainted consciousness is there. You can see that there is no time or beliefs in control of their mind. There's just pure presence and awareness. They are a divine, loving presence naturally, without even trying. Their enlightened nature shines through. This consciousness is in all of us, for we were all once a baby. Very instant, we empty out our minds and take a good look, long look, inside ourselves, we will discover something quite amazing. We will realize that we are not this body, these thoughts, or anything we can imagine with our mind. Who we really are goes beyond thinking, beyond concepts, and beyond the mind. We are infinite and an eternal soul that cannot be burned by fire or wet by water. Expect your every need to be met. Expect the answer to every problem, abundance on every level, to grow spiritually. We are not living by human laws. Miracles occur every day, and you will see them take place. Hold ever before you the thought of prosperity and abundance, and know that doing so sets in motion forces that will bring it into being. Eileen Caddy. We are this forever expanding consciousness. What do you think the word God is? It's another definition of consciousness, pure consciousness. We are forever expanding consciousness. When we are in a state of pure meditation, completely free from the mind, we instantly start connecting with our inherent enlightened nature. Now, it's interesting, meditation is not difficult. It is not dangerous. When you meditate, all you do is breathe, focus on your breath. You'll immediately be in the now. Our whole focus is practicing being in the now, moment to moment. So once we do this, we instantly connect with our inherent enlightened nature. And suddenly, as if from out of nowhere, we experience our true radiant selves with all of its positive, life-expanding qualities. any joyful sensations we experience by simply being silent affirms how we are deeply connected to an infinite source of goodness within. Every morning, for the next week of your life, I invite you to explore one thing. The very instant that you're awake, before you start to move your body or even open your eyes, take these precious moments to turn your attention inwards and ask this one question. Where is the source of this thought right now coming from? Look deeper inside yourself before your ego can get a grip on you to make you follow its agenda all day. Simply investigate where the source of you is coming from. Before the whirlwind of thoughts flood your mind, bring everything to this inquiry and simply remain curious. Do not try to get anywhere. Just remain in a state of curiosity and see what happens. There's a hidden force behind our mind running this grand master show. This indivisible divine energy is very powerful when you connect with it. When you find it, you'll be able to shape-shift your life in any way you'd like it to be. In our enlightened nature, when our enlightened nature is already here now, complete and whole in itself, why isn't the entire world filled with an abundance of enlightened beings? There is one little thing called the ego. The mind gets in the way and obscures this pure being. It's like a fish in a fishbowl swimming around, causing all the muck to be stirred up, distorting the clarity in the water. When the fish stops swimming and rests, the muck settles and everything becomes crystal clear. All beings are from the very beginning Buddhas. Hakun. All beings are from the very beginning Buddhas. See, we're enlightened beings. It's just that so many of us don't know it. We're not consciously aware of it. We've been so trained by the ego mind and the social structure of this planet that we believe that we're inferior, that we are not powerful. We feel guilty when we believe this, or we go into that direction and feel it. The ego mind tries to make us feel guilty. We don't deserve that. We don't deserve to be enlightened beings, which is just a pile of you-know-what. This is the holdback that the civilization is experiencing. The holdback. We hold back our true nature. And after a while, we get comfortable with it. It isn't our natural state. And we are enlightened beings in this very moment now. We always have been. All beings are from the very beginning Buddhas, which means enlightened one, aware, awake. When we are in love with someone and we look deep into their eyes, in that moment that our hearts are bursting with joy, what do we see? What do we see? Now, when your mind is crystal clear, you will only experience the loving, eternal, and divine aspects of their enlightened nature. The love frees this cluttered mind, so you can see all the way through by bringing the mind to a complete halt. The illusions of your mind disappear, and you naturally experience the infinite source. This is the secret to discovering the enlightened state. It is naturally within all of us, and it appears the moment the mind disappears. So obviously, the mind doesn't vanish yet. And I think people get twisted or confused about, how do you do that? How do you vanish the mind? How does that work? You leave it alone. You move into the heart mind and you focus on the now. That's pretty simple. Now, it is simple, but see, we have that fella called the ego mind. And it does everything it can to sidetrack us and staying away from going within, from being in the now. And since we are so habitualized for literally thousands of years of allowing the ego mind to actually lead us, guide us, master us, it's not like we're aware of it. We don't have this awareness that the ego mind is mastering us. So when we discover the fact that we are not the ego mind, we are not these bodies, we are not our personality, our character, that's the bodies, okay? That's the body's infrastructure. And like I've said, we inherit the ego mind when we enter these bodies. Now, here's a question to ask yourself. Do you know, as the God that you are, the pure consciousness, when you enter that body, it's a baby body, see? And the baby body hasn't developed, the ego mind isn't there yet, okay? Pure and pristine, totally enlightened. So where does this illusion, the ego mind, come from? When does it come in? It's when you, all of us have been, we begin to become programmed by the societal structure of the planet and by other people's thoughts. It's that simple. That's how we begin to be programmed. And it's continual because it's all throughout our lives, right? So you're an adult. You go from baby to adult, right? You've gone across a lot of other people's thoughts, but we don't look at it that way. We don't say, well, these are other people's thoughts. It's just like it's our thoughts. This is, how I've come to be, my personality, my character, what I do. But even when we reach so-called adulthood, we worry about what others think about us. And what is that? That's the ego mind. These are all signs for us to understand who's in charge. Okay? When you worry about what others think of you, say about you, it's pure ego mind. Heart mind, you don't give a hoot on what other people think about you at all, ever. It's just not there. Why do we, in this social structure that we've created, we dress? Do we dress for ourselves or do we dress for others? Right? Do we fear how we dress because when we get around others on how they're going to accept us or not? Isn't it silly? Why do we wear the clothes that we wear? We're told to wear those clothes in most cases. Why? The fashions, designs, what everybody else is wearing. Okay? It's like most of you are familiar with HOAs, right? HOAs, homeowners associations, they dictate to those who buy property and homes in a cluster, follow explicit rules. So every house has to be similar color. Every house has to have similar shutters, similar outside design, and so it all blends in. Now, if the ego mind wasn't in charge, what do you think would happen? There'd be a plethora of different colors of homes. What difference does it make? You see how the social structure through the ego mind controls us? Well, Mr. Johnson, you can't put that paint on there. Excuse me? You can't put that paint on there. Well, I bought this house. I understand that, but the HOA rules negate your ability to put that. You can't put that color on there. You can't wear those types of clothes. You can't wear those types of clothes. Why? I like these clothes. They're not acceptable. You can't come in here wearing those clothes. These are all little spikes to let us know who's in charge. And that's the ego mind. When you give a gift, right? Especially around this time of year, you worry whether or not the recipient of that gift is going to like it, right? That's the ego mind. The heart mind is what? You give the gift. That's it. No expectations, no attachments, no wondering if and when. You just give the gift. And you give the gift from the heart mind, not the ego mind. Now, in a way, we need the ego mind in the beginning as we learn, because it kind of lights a fire under us at times. And it does help us. But then you get to a point where, through going into the now, watching, not judging, but watching the ego mind, how it operates. See, because in the now, it doesn't exist. So you can watch it from the now. When everybody on this planet masters the ego mind, they will be totally free. Way beyond how people view freedom in this moment, right now. We have this propensity to be swept up in this social structure on this planet in the direction of the ego mind. Now, when you know that the ego mind is an illusion, and you begin to discover that everything around you, everything out there, is an illusion, it isn't real. And see, the mind wants to convince you that it is real, and does everything it can to convince you, period. You begin to discover that, well, we created that for entertainment. And the planet, right? Well, people say, wasn't the planet real? No. The God within the planet is real. Just like the God within us is real. It's the only thing that's real. This shouldn't be confusing at all, but it is strange. It's a very strange feeling because the mind cannot comprehend this. It's too small. We're not talking about the brain, we're talking about the mind. It's too small. So it just can't wrap itself around the understanding that everything outside of us isn't real. But when you're in a dream, for example, we've all had these kinds of dreams, you would absolutely swear that you were awake, that everything in that dream that was happening, you were awake. It wasn't a dream. And the weirdness of that, the strangeness that you feel, you wake up, right? In bed. You look around. Now you believe that, okay, so I'm looking around. Then you find out it's a dream, that you were actually asleep. But in the dream you woke up. Like you usually do, you wake up out of bed and you start, moving around, but things are different. You don't really pick them up at first, but then they start looking around. You go, something's not. I know I'm awake, but it feels different. And then eventually you figure out that you're in a dream, and then you think that you wake up out of the dream, and you're still in the dream. It's kind of like out there. That's kind of a dreamscape. It's very seductive. It pulls us in. And it's great entertainment. Well, you got to admit that. There's never a dull moment out there when you decide to go into it. We're in it, but we're not of it, say. So people ask, what's the purpose of going within? Sooner or later, you got to find out what's in that body. It's the main reason of freeing oneself from the body to the clarity and understanding that, okay, so I'm in this vehicle. I'm the God, the pure consciousness. And the body is the vessel that carries me. And this is great. I appreciate that. I love the body. It's a phenomenal machine. It helps me maneuver, experience, feel, laugh, cry, all of it. You've probably met people in your travels in this lifetime, maybe others, that you knew did not care at all about what other people thought of them. And it wasn't an ego mind, it was a heart mind attitude. And you could tell their confidence within themselves. Some people misconstrue it and they go, oh, that person's conceited or very arrogant, the way they act, because it's so strange to most that they aren't affected on how other people view them, what people say about them, or anything. They're free from that. They go within. And there's only one way. There's only one way to do that, and that's to listen to the breath. And oftentimes you're pulled off of the breath and back into the ego mind. It's a pretty regular thing, not out of the ordinary. But you just keep going back into the breath. You focus on that. This is the key to humanity's ascension. Everybody's ascending, but most people don't even know that. Some very slow, some a little faster, some very fast. And like I said, it's not a race. And some people will go within and stay within. They discovered that on their own. Others will kind of play with it. A little bit here, a little bit there. Some are just absolutely scared out of their wits to go within because they're afraid of what they may find, which is silly. But I've had conversations with people that say they're afraid to go within. And that's the ego mind. Because see, once you go within and you begin to discover who and what you really are, ego mind's not there anymore. It's way, way, way in the back of the theater. And when you take a moment and you sit and you look at things not through judgment, but you say, ego mind is front and center all the time. It dictates to me, it directs me. It tells me what's real and what's not. And then you say to yourself, where do I come in all this? Why have I allowed the ego mind to master everything about me and to make me believe certain things that are completely untrue? See, that's our curiosity. It's getting more and more curious about things rather than fearing them or shunning them or ignoring, but just saying to yourself, I'm curious about why I'm feeling this way. What is it? And so we go into it. And then we find out that there was really no need to fear anything. See, now we've all experienced many lifetimes all this before, over and over and over again. And so then we begin to catch ourselves. It's usually when you least expect it, things start to come in. And we start realizing, through our own curiosity and awareness, I don't really care to have the ego mind master me anymore. I know it has my whole life, but I don't really care to have it master. And I'm very grateful. I'm in deep gratitude for the ego mind, because the ego mind has taught me a lot. But now, I believe it's time for me to reside in the heart. Because, see, we're not used to that. We're used to ego mind. We're used to living outside of ourselves. And after a while, as you guys know, it's a common thread throughout the civilization. It's not something that, people, I'm ego mind controlled. It's just taken for granted that that's the way it is. No one gives it any attention for the most part. But now, more and more of us are giving it attention, genuine attention. Okay? How do you identify someone that ego mind isn't front and center? It's still there, but it isn't front and center. It's not up in your face. How do you, out of curiosity, how do you identify that? Anybody that has to talk a lot about themselves, on what they've done in the past and all the accolades and everything. You see? When you are not ego mind controlled, that's why. Why would we do that? Ego mind. Insecurity. Ego mind is very insecure. So people that blab a lot about their successes and accomplishments and power, all of that stuff, is pure ego mind. And it's not like, oh, they're going to talk about themselves. They're ego mind people. That's judgment. It's just, oh, okay. They might be able to teach me some more things. So we always look at each other as teachers. and not the conventional educational system on the planet, but as enlightened beings who are teachers. So we teach each other. Now, it's not like we know that. It's not like, okay, there's all these teachers. But when you interact with someone at any time, it doesn't matter, phone conversation, in person, at a get together, whoever the person may be, or peoples. If you're talking with them, you're learning. Now, we don't look at that. We just have conversation, right? As rare as it is today. But we have conversation one-on-one. And we aren't sitting there going, well, let's see, what's this mean? What does that mean? We just converse. But every now and then, in a chance meeting or with a complete stranger, you're in conversation and they say something. Have you ever done this? And years later, you use that of what they shared with you in that conversation. Could be anything, but you incorporated it in your life because you were open enough that it taught you something, and so it made a lot of sense to you, and so you adopted it as to use in certain situations and interactions with others. See, we're all mentors for each other. All of us are. And it's not like we know it, but that's what we are. Each of the gods within these bodies and people that they're in teach us, they mentor us. It could only be for a minute in passing, okay? It could be written information that someone gives to you. It could be in a card, a Christmas card, right? And is it, every one of us have experienced this more than once, where you're in a gathering, or whether it's whatever, and you have a conversation with somebody, and something they say rings deeply with you. It's profound. Now, to them, they're not thinking that way. It's just conversation, right? But for you, something comes in, and you reference it, and you go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought of that. But now I have it. It's like little morsels that the mentors on the planet leave with each other. And that's what we all are. We're mentors. And through the heart mind, more and more heart-minded, more and more understanding of who and what we are, this is the evolution of humanity in the spiritual essence. Not a material essence, a spiritual. Because we all know that, for goodness sakes, we have had so many lifetimes and in and outs, and we've learned that part. The difference between hot and cold, right? Between laughter and crying, between pain and joy. We know these things. It's none of us, unless you're a baby and you're just starting out on a new incarnation, you eventually will learn these things. But we know them. We've known them. The God that enters that baby has had other lifetimes. Has had lifetimes where they grow old. The body rots away and they're forced to leave the body. Or lifetime where you come in, you're only in that body for a few years and you're gone again. I mean, it's endless. So all this transition right now, for all of us on this planet, is because we're choosing on our own to go within and stay within. And the more of us that continually do that, and the more of us that stay in the now, and the more of us that treat ourselves 24/7 gently, lovingly, kindly, generously, humbly, and we stay in deep gratitude 24/7. That combination of literally moving into the now as many times during the day as you can, that trilogy right there sets you free, moves you into the God that you are. Then you realize that all the things you've been chasing in life will be given to you. You don't have to chase. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to scratch and crawl and pull. You don't have to do any of that. That's what the ego mind guides us to do. The heart mind, we already have everything we'll ever need. You literally put it out to the universe, it'll be there. And the only reason that doesn't happen is because the majority on this planet aren't in the now. They're in yesterday or tomorrow. And that's where we suffer, because yesterday is gone and we still find ourselves there. Tomorrow hasn't come and we're already looking towards it. That's a lot of suffering. It's not a bad thing. Nothing in this travel that we're on, this trip, this endless journey, is really bad. It's experience. You know, it's like, that experience was real sour. This experience was real sweet. And that experience was kind of so-so. And we create those experiences. We create the situations. We manifest them so that we can experience them. When we do this, and when we consistently do this, the hollows that I've talked about are left far behind. So no more pain and suffering. We've done that till we're blue in the face. No more pain and suffering. We know what that is. Not something that you forget about. Well, what about the children? Won't they need to go through pain and suffering? They will. In the beginning. Just through growing pains. Just through disappointments. But nothing like we do now. You could count, you would just be blown away that maybe in the last 20, say 10,000 lifetimes, how many times you experience every male body, female body, children body, different color of suits, I mean, on and on and on. And once you discover all those different lifetimes, you say to yourself, wow, I did that and that body. Be like Christmas morning, endless packages being opened. To your amazement, wow, I did that. Wow, I was that. It really would be like that. How do you maintain joy through all this stuff, right? How do you maintain it? You don't, because you are joy. Okay? The God within that body of what you really are, truly are, is joy, is love, is happiness, bliss. It isn't suffering. It's not pain. That's all the ego, mind, illusion world. Happiness, joy, peace, tranquility. That's what you are. Those are the energies that make you up. The true you. We go out and we search for it. In the material world, we do. All of us, we search for it, don't we? And we see something, we want to get it, so it makes us happy, excited, right? And when we have it, after a while, it's not happy or exciting anymore. It's the same when we were kids. We would get something, right? And we were really excited about it, and it was the number one attention getter for us. And then after a while, it's just not a big deal anymore. But when you discover perpetual happiness, joy, and peace and tranquility, when you go within, do you really believe that you'll ever desire to leave that? In a single moment, in one stroke. And this is a lot of people, I just don't believe that they understand this. You can become enlightened. It is not a gradual process. And it's been taught that way, though, throughout the ages. A lot of the gurus would teach on their mountains and caves that it could take lifetimes. Okay. Arduous. And it's not a gradual process because enlightenment is not something that we have to invent. There's a lot of things we invent, but enlightenment isn't one of them. It is something that we do have to discover. It is already there. It is not something that we have to manufacture, invent, create. If you have to manufacture it, of course, it will take time, but it is already there. You can close your eyes right now and see it there. You can be silent and have a taste of it. Our very nature is what I call enlightenment. Enlightenment is not something alien outside of us. It is not somewhere else in time and space. It is our very core. And many people throughout the ages have wondered, what does the word enlightenment mean? A lot of people talk about enlightenment, but they really don't know what it means. Well, very few people on this planet have experienced the enlightened state. It's a state of understanding. You can reach it through samadhi, right? A samadhi experience. Excuse me. Enlightenment is something that cannot be put into words. Yet, if I could describe it, I'd say it is the continuous realization of the divine, universally interconnected, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent being we truly are. It is the continuous realization of the divine, universally interconnected, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent being we truly are. That's quite a mouthful for something that has no words for it. Yet, when we meditate on this thought and begin knowing it as the truth of who we are, an amazing, enlightening experience begins downloading directly into our consciousness by the gods that we are at the speed of light. Now, the speed of light is 186,000 miles a second. That's fast. Okay? Those who have had brief experiences of enlightenment, the first thing they realized was that it happens to you as fast as light and comes directly to you from fully living in the lightness of your own spiritual presence. Although most people don't take the time to redirect their attention on their infinite spiritual nature, so they may not think it is real or that they can experience it at all. And I'm here to tell you that it is very real and creates an experience of reality which we cannot compare to anything we have ever had before. It's as if we were living in a dark, candle-lit, musty closet. Picture that, right? Living in a dark, candle-lit, musty closet. We know what musty smells like. For 25 years or more, and suddenly found the door to walk outside and breathe the fresh spring air and feel the warm, radiant light from the sun. Huge shift. Huge. It isn't something that we can measure. Some people say, well, can't you measure it? No, it's not something you can measure with any scientific device. Not yet. Rather, it is the experience of the perpetual effulgence of our soul's radiant awareness. It is seeing this world only through pure awareness, where there are no opinions, judgments, or mind chatter in the way. And when this happens, we discover something that turns our entire lives around. We realize that who we really are is a mind-stopping experience. We are indescribable. We are unattainable. And exist far beyond the imagination of this limiting mind. The imagination of the God is a whole other existence. Now, when you want to have a momentary taste of what enlightenment is, you must choose to do something completely radical with how you're typically spending your time. Stop whatever agendas you currently have with your life. Let go of everything you thought to be real or true. And entertain the possibility that who you are is an undefinable, infinite being. There is no definition of you. Undefinable, no definition of you. No explanation of you. You're an undefinable, infinite being. An eternal soul that was never born and thus will never, ever, ever, ever die. Do you think the soul was born? Not a chance. The soul has been always. By taking this dynamic leap in our consciousness into letting go of all limiting ideas about ourselves, we will soon find the enlightened state blossoming within us. Do not let this idea that your personal problems and life issues are blocking you from enlightenment. Do not let this idea that your personal problems and life issues are blocking you from enlightenment. Think of them like particles of sand between your toes, right? Now, if you've ever walked on sand, it depends on how you move through life, right? Depending on how you move through life, they will either what? Irritate your feet or massage your feet. Just depends on how you walk. The most challenging people in our lives are also our greatest teachers in disguise. Now, you wouldn't think that, would you? You would believe that those that kind of, match, like the same things, do the same things, that type of thing, you would think that they were your teachers. Well, in a way, likely they are. But the ones that grind you are your best teachers. Now, they are in disguise. Do they know that they're your best teachers? No, they don't know that. And what we can choose to do is simply take the approach to explore every experience in our lives with a genuinely open mind and childlike curiosity. Stick to this like super glue, and you'll eventually become enlightened. Does that seem like an astronomical challenge? It isn't. It's just eliminating some really, really stuck habits. This life has an incredible wisdom to download into our consciousness that's bigger than what we can conceive of. You ever hear people say downloads? This entire world is designed to do what for us? It's designed to enlighten us, heal us, empower us, and dissolve your ego. The sun shines down, and its image reflects in 1,000 different pots filled with water. The reflections are many, but they are each reflecting the same sun. Similarly, when we come to know who we truly are, we will see ourselves in all people. Amache. Now, many people wonder, what does an enlightened being understand that other people don't? Well, they simply see how everything is connected to a cosmic intelligent web of energy, love, and information. That physically exists in between every atom in this universe. And that has been proven thousands of times. An exponentially increasing flow of deep inspirational insights happens with every thought which passes through. It is unimaginable, yet the moment we let go of this small, limiting identity, who you've been conditioned to believe is you, and dive deeper into trusting this omnipresent intelligence, which is your inner light, which switches on, you'll know it because your body becomes deeply relaxed and your mind becomes supremely empty, soft, and receptive to every possible experience that flows your way. I'll join you in the meditation, return to close us out. Take a long, easy, deep breath in through the nose. Just natural. And an easy release breath out the nose, out the mouth. And remain still. Unbeknownst to many on this planet, we are genuinely here as the gods that we are in these bodies to share love and be loved. Love is the cause of joy in our lives, and fear is the cause of all suffering. And each moment is our choice, only our choice, as to what we wish to experience. Check it out. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and following morning. And we will return here Friday, December 23, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call and our reverse aging health call at 9 p.m. Be genuinely good to yourself.